because we're at training camp, but it'd be better if the Phillies had won that game last night. It was, to a certain extent, entertaining. We got to at least acknowledge that, but it was a bummer of a loss. And Lazardo, there's got to be some concern on him. So, look, we'll get to the Phils. Trade deadline, by the way, if you don't know now, in 1 week. Thursday of next week, 6 p.m. So we are 1 week away. We'll do a deep dive on the trade deadline today. We'll also do a lot on the Eagles as we broadcast from training camp where the Birds practiced yesterday. We'll again today. Zach Vaughn will join our program at 7 o'clock. We look forward to talking to the Eagles star linebacker. We'll hear from Vic Fangio, his boss. Fangio at 9:40, a press conference later today. So a lot to do. All of it with you on the phone lines at 215-592-9494. Rich.
Hello there, Joe.
Hello there, Johnny.
China did not win its first Olympic medal until 1984.
Now, how do you explain that?
They were boycotting.
That makes sense there.
Yeah. There was a rocky relationship with the International Olympic Committee, and they were, in and out. They didn't want to participate.
So that
1984.
Mao was not pro-Olympics.
Oh, I don't think so. It does not appear that way.
The Olympics may not have been pro-Mao.
Probably not. But that was L.A. 1984. That was such a big Olympiad for so many reasons. I didn't realize it at the time.
No.
Little Johnny Ritchie watching in Mechanicsburg, PA, on WGAL TV 8 on with the rabbit ears. I really had to use the rabbit ears to get those to come in. Those Olympics meant a lot.
That was a great Olympics, by the way.
Sure.
All right, we got a great football team, obviously. We hope they repeat. We'll see if they can and will. Jordan Mailata was something very interesting yesterday. We're not defending anything. He actually said we're not the defending champs. He doesn't want them to think in terms of defending. He wants them to obviously think in terms of go get it again.
As soon as he said that, Joe, I thought of you.
Well, I didn't say that. I said they're the defending champs.
Well,
I said they're not the champs.
But you're right. Where, they're no longer champions.
Right, but
I was like,
difference.
Joe's going to appreciate it.
Even I would say they're the
difference
defending champs.
between what the players say and what the fans say. The players should say that. The fans don't have to. That's the difference.
Oh, that's great. All right, so we'll get to that as we move through. We'll do a lot on the trade deadline out of the gate, but let's just start with last night. Good Lord. First off, if you look at the box score, you see 37 different Phillies pitchers pitched, and there's a reason for that. Jesus Lazardo didn't go too long. Now, it wasn't one of those 2-inning starts, but, oh, man. So how concerned are we on Lazardo?
It all fell apart so quick.
It fell apart quick. John, how concerned are you on
Not until the fifth inning on the bright side. The fifth inning, what happened was he just no longer could locate, and it wasn't by much.
But doesn't it feel like the season? Didn't that inning to you feel like because for me it did because he was so exceptional for about 2.5 months this year, and then in the last month it's like, what are we doing here? And so I mean, look, my antenna is up on him. I think he's probably a bullpen guy in the postseason, but who knows? I mean, that's still to be determined. Remember, you got to go through 2 more months of keeping guys healthy. That includes Wheeler. Right, that includes getting Nola healthy, because if Nola doesn't get healthy, Lazardo starts in the postseason, I think. So I will just put out there my antenna for Lazardo concern has ratcheted up, and by the way, that's a short-term, long-term thing. Short-term, I'm talking about October. Long-term, I'm talking about is he the guy I'm hitching the wagon to for the next 4, 5, 6 years instead of Ranger or instead of whomever. Am I trading Painter? Am I trading Abel? Because, I got Lazardo in my back pocket. Well, do I? What do I have in my back pocket? So I think there's a lot there that's, I'll say, a bit complicated. Let me be clear. This is not skies falling. Lazardo's had a nice season, but he obviously has been really rocky over about the last month and a half. And I think it's fair to say that, we got to put that right on the table, right out of the gate. Your reaction to last night and him specifically. At 215-592-9494. Ironically, the bullpen actually pitched pretty well last night. I think there were 5 or 6 relievers that gave up nothing until the last 2 guys gave up runs, obviously with the ghost runner starting on second base in extra innings. So bullpen actually did a decent job. Lazardo did not. 215-592-9494. All right, let's get to the trade deadline. So really it's a double banger of a question, or questions. Question 1 is, if they only get one major move, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think they will only have a maximum one major move, I think. I think there's a better chance that they have no major moves than 2 major moves. But if they only have 1 major move, and we know all season a lot of us ping-ponging back and forth. I mean, I've changed my mind 15 different times between should it be a reliever or should it be an outfielder. And even the Bryson Stott stuff has for some people brought into the focus, should it be a second baseman, although he did hit a home run last night. But question 1, if it's only an outfielder or relief pitcher, cards on the table today, which should it be? And question 2, how aggressive do you want them to be? Because, people have wavered on that as well. I will tell you this. The longer this season has gone on, the more my focus has become very clear. And believe me, I promise you guys, there have been plenty of twists and turns this year where I've thought relief pitcher is the more important spot for them to attack. I no longer do. And not because they actually did a decent job out of the bullpen last night. Because I think they're just more deficient as I project October in the outfield. I mean, I really do believe, and we've talked about it for a good portion of the year, and Middleton talked about it a couple days ago, I think they're going to throw starters into the bullpen. And I think the bullpen will look very different. Very, very, very different.
He's laid it out there for us.
I laid it out before he laid it out. But I will say, John,
we're gonna do this,
but it's predicated on does Nola come back healthy, which we don't know that Nola comes back healthy. We don't know that. I mean,
you're right.
But
it's not just Nola. I mean, good. You got a ton to work with, and meanwhile.
So you think it's outfielder, John?
Absolutely, and you've got. And I want to go big, I don't know how expensive big gets.
Oh, it can be extremely expensive.
I hate the idea that expensive means that Painter could be by forever. Like this guy who I really don't
want to trade him. I'm telling you right now.
If that means that we can get Byron Buxton, a center fielder who I know I can depend upon, and he can generate, offense and pop and done deal. I'll do it. I do think that window is now. So let's go big or go home, and a bat is what we need, a right-handed one preferably. So now's the time, and it will be shocking. And maybe the name. I hope that the name is shocking. I hope that the name is one that we haven't even mentioned and we never would have supposed would have been wrestled away from someone else's roster.
Well, yeah, I remember when they got Hunter Pence. I don't remember anyone saying right before that, hey, they might trade for Hunter Pence next week. So, these things do surprise you sometimes. I will just tell you, the more this season, and we're 4 months into it now, basically, I just think it's an outfielder because it's an anti-Marsh, anti-Rojas, anti-Kepler thing. And I know we can make a similar argument in the bullpen, but I do think they're going to throw 2 to 4 starters into the bullpen come October. Now, I don't know for sure which ones it'll be. We don't know that it'll be Painter. I think Abel's probably most likely of the young guys. I think Lazardo is most likely of the established starter guys. I mean, dare I say, do I believe in Taiwan a little bit? Not really, but I think I believe in him more than I do Rojas, if that makes some sense. Seltzer, where do you land 4 months into this season? Which position is more important to attack?
Yeah, I totally feel the ping-ponging thing you were talking about earlier, right, where it does feel like I've had weeks where I'm one way or the other, but I have, like you, absolutely solidified. I feel incredibly confident. They have to get a bat. They absolutely have to get a bat. A reliever would be nice. I think they need a guy at the back end of the bullpen. I would be fine with them going all in at this deadline, truly all in, and trading, basically everyone but Miller or Painter or one or the other, and actually moving one of those guys for the right deal. I'm willing to go in on this team. I think they have a real chance to win the World Series, and I think that it's so clear what they need. I mean, it's rare that you come into a deadline and say, this is exactly what this group needs. They need a right-handed bat. They need it desperately. A bat, period, but ideally right-handed, but I'll take a bat.
Let me ask you this question,
And ideally
James.
A reliever as well.
Well, yeah, ideally all of it, but it's not going to happen.
Bat first, primary, They have to get a bat.
So, James, if they get an outfield bat, which is more likely in your opinion? Right-handed hitting 4-hole hitter, or it could be a righty or a lefty 6 or 7-hole hitter?
Well, no, so based on the guys on the market, yep, I think it's more likely it's like a 2-hitter type guy, and I think Schwarber drops down or something like that in that range. Because the guys who've been talked about mostly, if they're going to go for a big outfielder, and they might not, But the two biggest names that have made the most sense are Steven Kwan and Jarren Duran, who've been thrown out.
Right.
They're both left-handed bats. They're both really good hitters who would make this lineup better, but they are left-handed bats.
I bring up that 4-hole hitter because I think you guys.
I think that's ideal.
It's been such an issue in October.
Byron Buxton's the only one who fits that, and he has made it very clear. He has a no trade clause. He's not leaving Minnesota. He has put it who knows where you can sweeten pots, whatever. He has made it clear he does not want to be traded. So other than him, I don't know that there is a right-handed bat that makes sense. There are other right-handed bats, but not one of the level of those three guys we're talking about.
Look, I just kind of tend to think it's going to be an Austin Hayes kind of guy. I mean, maybe that's
if
just
I had to bet, Joe, I would bet it's probably something like that. A little better than Hayes, but that idea.
But you know what? I would be okay with that. Austin Hayes, I will say, and I'm not trying to give Dave Dombrowski excuses. He did come in and immediately had, a sickness and illness. He was in the hospital for a week. So Phillies had bad luck. You look at what Austin Hayes is doing this season, pretty good. So if that's all taken into consideration, it actually would be a good move if it was an Austin Hayes type player, just in that he could produce offensively.
We'll ask you
Hopefully.
where you stand. I mean, there's really two different issues here. One is how aggressive do you want them to be? Put another way, are you willing to put the prime prospect on the table? And the primest of prime is Andrew Painter, but there's a couple other, like Aiden Miller and Crawford and others, Abel, that are pretty solid prime. And then there's which position should it be? It's interesting. We're kind of solidifying here on the bat, but let's not act like the bullpen hasn't been a fiasco at times. And I'll say this. I don't think the Phillies can count on Aaron Nola on two different fronts. One, we don't know if he'll be healthy. Two, we don't know if he'll be good.
Yeah.
Because earlier this year when he pitched, he was not good, and he hasn't been healthy for 2.5 months. He's been out a long time, man. 215-592-9494. Where do you stand on it? We're going to do a ton on the Eagles. That includes Zach Bond at 7 o'clock. Great chance for you to get in early. Get in.